I'm going to read you several excerpts from an article from the Atlantic.com website. Trump, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. The Republican nominee's preoccupation with dictators and his disdain for the American military is deepening, by Jeff Goldberg. In 2020, Vanessa Gillian, I'm sorry if I messed up her name, a 20-year-old Army private, was bludgeoned to death by a fellow soldier at Fort Hood in Texas. The killer, aided by his girlfriend, burned Gillian's body. Gillian's remains were discovered 2 months later, buried in a riverbank near the base after a massive search. The daughter of Mexican immigrants, she grew up in Houston, and her murder sparked outrage across Texas and beyond. Fort Hood had become known as a particularly perilous assignment for female soldiers, and members of Congress took up the cause of reform. Shortly after her remains were discovered, the then-President Donald Trump himself invited Gillian's family to the White House. With her mother seated beside him, Trump spent 25 minutes with the family as television cameras recorded the scene. In an Oval Office meeting on December 4, 2020, officials gathered to discuss the separate national security issue. Toward the end of the discussion, Trump asked for an update on the McCarthy investigation. Christopher Miller, the then acting Secretary of Defense, after Trump had fired Mark Esper 3 weeks later, was in attendance along with Miller's Chief of Staff, Kash Patel. At a certain point, according to the two people who were present at that meeting, Trump asked, Did they bill us for the funeral? What did it cost? Then Trump became angry. It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican. He turned to his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and issued an order, don't pay it. Later that day, he was still agitated. Can you believe it? He said that according to a witness. Fucking people trying to rip me off. So not only do we know that Donald Trump is a racist, he is also a person who hates our soldiers. Now we have a woman who was murdered, who happened to be of Mexican descent, and a soldier of the United States military. That's a twofer for Trump. But let's get to the nitty-gritty. In their book, The Divider, Trump in the White House, writers Peter Baker and Susan Glasser reported that Trump asked John Kelly, his then chief of staff at the time, why can't you be like the German generals? Trump at various points had grown frustrated with military officials he deemed disloyal and disobedient. Through the course of his presidency, Trump referred to flag officers as my generals. According to Baker and Glasser, Kelly explained to Trump that German generals tried to kill Hitler 3 times and almost pulled it off. This correction did not move Trump to reconsider his view. No, they were totally loyal to him, the president responded. This week I asked Kelly about their exchange. He told me that when Trump raised up the subject of German generals, Kelly responded by asking, do you mean Bismarck's generals? He went on, I knew he didn't know who Bismarck was, or about the Franco-Prussian War. I said, do you mean the Kaiser's generals? Surely you can't mean Hitler's generals. And then he said, yeah, Hitler's generals. I explained to him that Rommel had to commit suicide after taking part in a plot against Hitler. Kelly told me Trump was not acquainted with Rommel. Baker and Glasser also reported that Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, feared that Trump's Hitler-like embrace of the big lie about the election would promote the president to seek out a Reichstag movement. Kelly, a retired Marine Corps general who, as a young man, had to volunteer to serve in Vietnam despite actually suffering from bone spurs, said in an interview for the CNN reporter Jim Schow's book, The Return of Great Powers, that Trump praised aspects of Hitler's leadership. He said, "Well, but Hitler did some good things." Kelly recalled, "I said, well, what?" And then he said, "Well, Hitler rebuilt the economy. But what did he do with that rebuilt economy? He turned it against his own people and against the world," Kelly admonished Trump. "I said, sir, you can never say anything good about the guy. Nothing." So let's review. Trump has an incredible disdain for our military and its soldiers, and has great admiration for Adolf Hitler. That's a combination that should not be in the White House ever again. In my view, with this should be a disqualifier. But it's now still up to us, the rank and file American voters, who need to show up at the polls, mail our ballots in, and make sure that Kamala Harris is elected. A real American woman, not a fake American man who admires dictators like Trump. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.